Welcome, everyone, to the second Neville Goddard at Your Command study class. And we are going through Neville's book. Now, for those of you that have this copy, I'm starting on page 38. And if you don't have this copy, let me just see what chapter I am in. It's the At Your Command chapter. I'm about 4 pages in. Now, before we start going into the book, for those of you that are wanting to attend next month, I'll just let you know what the session day and time is. It's the first Sunday of each month, so it'll be the 2nd of June, and it'll be again from 6 to 8 p.m. London time. Hello, Mary Lou. Oh, your background looks beautiful. I love interior design. Looks really nice. So yes, if you want to come next month, the first Sunday of the month, 2nd of June, and exactly the same time, 6 to 8 p.m. So we're going to go into this book, and the idea is for us to study Neville and to dissect it and apply it and bring it up into 2024 language, because as you know, Neville is not the easiest to understand. And for those of you that haven't been in here before, the background on me and Neville, I came across Neville in the 90s, mid-90s. My friend, who I am still friends with, and we talk 3 to 4 times a week, still 30 years later, she is my law of attraction friend, my Neville Goddard friend, and she bought me my first Florence Scovel Shin book, the book that's 4 books in one. And she then bought me The Law and the Promise. And then we went on to buy At Your Command, and we have been discussing Neville for 3 decades now. So we are beginning to just understand what Neville's talking about. Not to put you off, but I think sometimes you think, oh, I get what Neville's talking about. And then you read it 5 years later and you go, oh no, I really didn't understand that like I do now. So Neville has layers, and you get better at him over time. So on that note, I'm going to hop in. For those of you that haven't been here before, if you want to put your hand up at any point to say, okay, how does this relate to what I'm going through? How do I apply it? Put your hand up, and then we can dissect it. While you are in here and we are talking, if you can mute yourself so that we don't get any background noise, because I can hear some background noise right now from someone, but I'm not sure who it's coming from. So if you can mute yourselves, that would be really helpful. HH, can you mute yourself as well? For some reason, I can't mute you. No, won't let me. Okay, so go tell no man. That is, do not discuss your ambitions or desires with another, for the other will only echo your present fears. Secrecy is the first law to be observed in realizing your desire. Now, I would say the exception to that is if you have someone that's working on the same sorts of things as you, and they are your flock in terms of manifesting, working on the law of assumption, the law of attraction, self-love, etc., then that is a good person to discuss it with. The second we are told in the story of Mary is to magnify the Lord. We have identified the Lord as your awareness of being. Therefore, to magnify the Lord is to revalue or expand one's present conception of oneself to the point where this revelation becomes natural. Okay? When this naturalness is attained, you give birth by becoming that which you are one with in consciousness. So keeping your desires close to your chest, keeping them private. Hello, Anjalli. I can see you now. I saw your little message pop up. The secrecy, keeping things private or sharing it with people that are like-minded, is the way to go. Otherwise, keep things close to your chest. Why? he discusses that people will, in terms of, as he talks about, everyone as you pushed out, will reflect back to you. You're not your self-unassuredness, let's say, or your doubts or your fears. So if you can not have to then deal with that on top of wanting to manifest your desire, it makes it easier. Now, the story of creation is given us in digest form in the first chapter of John. Things live only as long as I am aware of being them. Now, I'm going to read that again because that sounds really unimportant, but it is actually very important. Things live only as long as I am aware of being them. So if you're talking in terms of Abraham Hicks, she talks about it being a focus-based universe. That's her words because she's still alive. In Neville's words, it's what you send your energy to, what you focus on is what then you create. Imagination creates reality. Now, that's one of Neville's biggest bumper stickers of all time. So if you are focusing on something that you really love, it's like you are fertilizing and marinating that desire in, hopefully, positive emotion. If you are marinating things in negative emotion, then you are also then watering that plant. So if you are aware you have fears, because we all have fears about different things at different times, it's about observing the fear, acknowledging the fear, accepting the fear, and then saying, where can I take my mind to move myself away from this? This being fear, anxiety, doubt, might be anger, it might be resentment, whatever the negative label is at any point. The idea is to pull away. Now, one of the best ways I find to do that is with Ho'oponopono, because it gives the mind something else to do. And giving the mind something else to do and breaking the repetitive habitual negative thought patterns, I find is a fantastic way to interrupt what's going on here. Because if you interrupt what's going on here, you have a less chance of having that emotion in your stomach. The fear, the anxiety, the doubt, the just not feeling secure. But that all starts here. So the problems all start here and the solutions all start here. So it's learning to say to the mind, it's very hard to say to the mind, don't think about anything. It's much easier to give the mind something to do. It's like a little gerbil in a wheel. It likes to just keep moving. So if you can do that, and Neville talking about here, things live only as long as I am aware of being them. So it's my focus on being loved. It's my focus on feeling good enough, adequate. That's what lives on if you practice. As he said in this little bit of at your command, you've got to do it until the revelation becomes natural, because it doesn't feel natural in the beginning. People often say to me, I'm doing these affirmations, but I don't believe them. It's like, well, you don't believe them. That's the whole point of doing affirmations, is you do them to believe them. You imagine to create. You do self-love to feel the state of love. We do all these things to then change where we're at if we're in a negative place, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Okay? In the beginning was the Word. Now this very second is the beginning spoken of. It is the beginning of an urge, a desire. The Word is the desire swimming around in your consciousness, seeking embodiment. So looking for a place to hatch. The urge of itself has no reality, for I am, or the awareness of being, is the only reality. Things live only as long as I am aware of being them. So to realize one's desire, the second line of this first verse of John must be applied. That is, and the Word was God. The word or desire must be fixed or united with consciousness to give it reality. So you have to be conscious of what you're thinking. So often we just go off onto little tangents of thought while you're doing the dishes, while you're driving to work, while you're, making breakfast for your children, whatever it is, where you zone out, but you're actually going down a trajectory of perhaps some not very good thoughts. So firstly, it's the awareness. The awareness becomes aware of being the thing desired, thereby nailing itself upon the form or conception. I'm going to read that again because this is important. So the word, so what you think, the thoughts in your head, or the desire, it must be fixed in your consciousness. Consciousness, where you think your thoughts, to then give it reality, as in to hatch it in the 3D. So the awareness becomes aware of being. So this is what's interesting. Your aware is separate to the awareness of being, okay? So you're almost aware of your own self, okay? And then you're aware of being the thing that you desire, such as unloved, really stressed and poor because you don't have enough money. Oh my God, financial ruin, I've just lost my job. I just failed at university. Now what the heck am I going to do? Because I'm going to have to pay more money and maybe this isn't for me. So that awareness of all these things that we all have to deal with for the most part, the money, the job, the love life, children, parents, homes, all these things are uniform to all of us, no matter what country, what race, what religion, what sexual preference. We all are interacting with these topics as we move through our lives. So this bit again, the awareness becomes aware of being the thing desired. So I'm going to become aware of my being, and my desire is I want to be loved, okay? As an example. So giving life to that onto its conception or resurrecting it, that which was heretofore, there's an old word, a dead or unfulfilled desire. So if you've had a desire and then you kind of thought to yourself, well, you know what? Nah, I can't manifest that, or I just can't see how that's going to happen. So you abort it, but you can resurrect it once you get a bit of wind in your sails by doing self-love, manifesting, using the law of assumption, the law of attraction, law of projection, all these beautiful laws, because there's not just one. And that you learn from Neville about living in the end, and you learn from Neville about everyone's you pushed out, and you learn about creating your reality through the deliberate focus of your mind and your thought. Two shall agree as touching anything, and it shall be established on earth. This agreement is never made between two persons. It is between the awareness and the thing desired. So you're aware, I want more money. You're aware, I want more love. Love and money, you can see them as over there, or you can start to be in the state, because Neville talks about states a lot, shifting from unlovedness to lovedness, shifting from feeling financial fear and anguish to that relaxed feeling of freedom, which you would have if you had money. So it's the shift has to be internal first. You are now conscious of being. So you are actually saying to yourself without using words, I am. Now, if it is a state of health that you are desirous of attaining, before you have any evidence of health in your world, you begin to feel yourself as healthy. And the very second the feeling I am healthy is attained, as in the state, the two have agreed. That is, I am and health have agreed to be one. I like how that is explained. So you've got I am unhealthy, I am healthy, I am healthy, and then they come together and merge. And then when they merge and they feel natural, that's when you'll feel the state of health. And that can be on any topic: money, love, health, etc. So now, if it is a state of health that you are desirous of attaining before you have any evidence of health in your world, I'm reading this again because I know it's important to rehear things sometimes that he says, so that you can hear it the second time to try and go into it. You begin to feel yourself to be healthy, and the very second the feeling I am healthy is attained, the two have agreed. That is, I am, health have agreed to be one. And this agreement ever results in the birth of a child, which is the thing agreed upon. In this case, the child is health. And because I made the agreement, I expressed the thing agreed. So you can see why Moses stated, I am hath sent me, for what being other than I am could send you into expression. So the powerful words are I am. I am, and what you stick after that is the beginning of the shift on the inside. It has to start as a deliberate intention. And this book is at your command, remember. Infinite Spirit, open the way for I am healthy. So you start to work with it as a command. I remember when I first heard this at your command, I thought, oh, that's a bit kind of demanding, isn't it? Because it does feel, Infinite Spirit, do this, Infinite Spirit, do that, God, do this, God, do that. I thought, well, I can't do that. I mean, I don't come from a religious background, but that sounds a little bit pushy to me. But the commands are the clarity. The commands are the line of energy between you and infinite intelligence. And once the clarity is there, you link up with it, then that thing that you are trying to manifest will show itself and reveal itself to you. Lazlo, I'm going to take your question now.
Well, what you talked about regarding fears and everything, well, on my job, every day I answer tens of calls of people, mostly from my kind, like people that live in the US, that let's say that their lives are miserable, like a sense of pity. I have a deep sense of pity when I hear them, like people, because there are people with mostly with needs, with problems with money and everything. And so, and I have a fear, a deep fear of when it comes to misery, decay, and poverty. So basically, I'm dealing with my fears every day. So
Mm.
that's the issue. Like I have even seen people that, let's say that death would be freedom for them, sadly. But here's the thing, like how, like when it comes to facing your fears, like because I have a fear of ending up in complete misery and being basically hopeless and miserable and everything. So many times on my job, I feel emotions like
Mm.
frustration, anger, despise to the life, and many things like that, and sense of sadness and everything. But many times, like I wonder how I can deal with that. Like maybe becoming a god of decay and misery, or god of destruction, or something like that. No, I don't know.
I think, Lazlo, it's about remembering everyone's us pushed out, you see. So in your work, and it's so often that what we are doing, either with work, with family, with friends, with lovers, with bosses, they will hit us in all those fears and all those spots that are quite challenging for us. So if you can, when you're taking a call, just take a breath and exhale and listen, and then say, thank you, God, for this opportunity to dissolve my fear. and then you wish the very best for them. So what you do is you hear what they're saying, you see where they're at from what they've told you, and then you start to go down this is starting to freak me out because it's hitting me in all my fears. And then what you do is you pull yourself back and you say, I'm going to wish the very best for these people, that they have enough time, enough money, enough love, whatever it is that they're talking to you about. Sounds like it's more money. And then you just bless them with the highest good that you can. I mean, this is what I'm not religious, as you all know, but this is what Jesus did. He saw the sick and imagined them healthy. So he held them in a state that they could not hold for themselves. So he changed the state in him to then change the external state in them. All it takes is one person with a strong mind and a focus to hold someone in a better state that they themselves cannot seem to do for themselves. So seeing and say to yourself, oh my goodness, how would it be if this person had X amount of money right now? How wonderful would that do? That would just change their whole situation. Wow. And you're listening to them, but you've got this commentary running in the back going, ooh, I'm not going down my misery, fear of being wiped out, homeless, not having anywhere to live. I'm going to rise. I'm going to pull myself up and hold this person in the best possible light. And that is unconditional love. That's loving someone over the phone. That's loving through your thought. So you can transform your fears within your job situation.
I see. So it's like, but I know, and also besides having my fear of life or my fear of decay and misery boosted, I also feel a lot of anger towards life, like saying, because those are my people, they are my race, they are Latino people, they are my kind. So when I feel sitting having such a miserable situation, I feel an anger inside me, like a frustration.
Yeah.
Let me say that they won't happen to anyone from the first world. No,
Yeah.
like that. So, and because there are mostly calls of people struggling with money, struggling getting money from to feed their children, things like that. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
even receive calls from those type of association for women for domestic violence and everything. Like, I've a trauma. I have to face a trauma of mine like that.
Yes.
And when I
Yes.
say things like becoming a god of that, god of decay, like when it comes you have something that bothers you, something that annoys you, something that is very abundant, sadly, why don't we become like the gods of it, like the god of it, god of decay, god of ruin, god of misery, and
Why would you want to become a god of any of those things?
because like instead of being a slave of those feelings, why not becoming the god of that? To use
Why do you need to become a god? I mean, you can be you and have extraordinary abilities and powers. It's almost like you're going from one extreme to the other. I'm completely down here, or I'm trying to completely go up here. So I think it's I think aim in the middle, where you are a human being who has the ability to master and control their own minds. Now, that sounds all very easy, but it's not. And it takes, practice and practice and practice and practice. So I think, because I've known you a long time, Lazlo. I've known you since you were 19. How old are you now?
22.
Yeah. So I've known you for 3 years. And you've made a lot of progress in your thinking. It's okay to be angry. Try and do something physical to blow it off. Whether you run, whether you scream into a pillow, you've got to get the anger out. So if people trigger your anger, it's okay. But remember, I'm being triggered because this is hitting me in some old parts of me, like you're saying with the domestic violence or with people not having any money. It's bringing up your own stuff. But if you go, okay, hang on, everyone's me pushed out. There's my money issue again through this person today. There's the issue that some of the things I've gone through as I've been growing up. So what you do is you go, I'm going to offload my emotion. Obviously, you can't do it while you're at work, but I'm going to try and offload my emotion as soon as I'm alone. So you might start by writing out your anger, and then the anger just comes out, and it comes out faster and faster. You might want to do something physical, ride a bike till you're exhausted, go for a run, whatever it is, go to the gym, blow the anger off. Anger is a good thing. It gives power, but it's harnessing the power and not offloading the anger onto other people. I mean, I know you don't do that at work, but if you get angry at work, the tendency is to go home and offload it with the people that you live with. So I think if you can try to, I'm not saying don't reach high, but don't put the cart before the horse. We can't run before we walk. And, you go from crawling to walking to running. So I think because I've known you a long time, try not to jump so quick, so fast, so high, and master the chopping wood, carrying water, as they say, and become good at it. And then you can jump higher, but get to the point where you can be, say, a little bit better with what you do with your anger or what you do with your fear, that you can dismantle it, dissolve it, let it move through the body, process it through writing, through physical activity. It might even be through, Ho'oponopono for quite long periods of time. All these things bring the emotions up. So I
I
would
see.
try that first.
I see is that, for example, when I get home from work, because I get home from work like very late, because mostly what I do when I get home is just watch my videos, YouTube videos that entertain me and everything. But as soon
Yeah,
as I finish, I have to go to sleep, go to bed early, because in order to wake up go to work next day. So
yeah.
I don't have less like I don't have much time, to do those things, and I
No,
know.
no, Lazlo, you do have time. You're giving your time to something else. So use 20 minutes of that time where you actually go and watch movies or games or whatever you do. Give 20 minutes to writing stuff down. You don't have to give hours. Little bite sizes over a long period of time go a long way.
I see. So, and also,
Mm,
and I know this may sound very cold, but I know that I shouldn't care at all about these people's lives, because I'm just doing my work. Like,
mm,
this is me. Like, I shouldn't get involved or get passionate about it, because I'm just a worker. All I have to do is my job. I
mm.
shouldn't care at all about their lives and everything. It's me and nothing else.
Yeah.
I notice, and like, and I know this perfectly. Like, in the end, the only thing that matters in life is money, power, or interest. No one cares about morals. No one cares about principles. No one cares about ideologies. No one cares about dignity. No one cares about principles. No one cares about any of that. Only those things are the only ones that matter in reality.
Well, no, I would disagree with you. It matters in your reality because that's what you're seeing, that's what you're thinking, that's what you're feeling, and what you see and what you think go together. There are people with morals, there are people with dignity, there are people that are loving and kind and giving, but you're not going to see them if you're thinking what you're thinking. You're never going to see them. You must change yourself, and then what you see will change. But you are not responsible for every single human being that you pick up the phone to. It's not your bag to carry. Once you hang up, the whole lesson in this is to learn to let go. Right now, it's fish hooking you because of your own stuff, from your own life, from your own background, and it's dragging you into that stuff. But you're 22, like you've already done quite a lot in the years that I've known you. So give yourself some credit for what you know and say, I'm going to just keep learning. Lazlo, imagine what you're going to be like at 40.
I
when
had no
you've done
idea.
this, since you've been doing this since you're 19, you've already got some understanding. So if you keep going, which I know you are and you have, and you've got this desire to learn and the knowledge to apply, and that's fantastic. So just try and slow down. It's hard to slow down when you're younger. It is. Don't worry, you'll slow down naturally as you get older, because that's just a part of it'll happen without you trying. But if you just remember, don't put the cart before the horse and say, these people are triggering stuff in me, and I'm going to look at what it brings up in me, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time, a few times a week, to offload that. Lazlo, it's like when I'm coaching people, I'm constantly hearing things, but my clients are me pushed out. They bring up that they feel unloved. They bring up that they don't have enough wonderful, like a wonderful place to live, or they don't have this, or they don't have that. And I think, what is this in me that I need to work on? And I ask myself that question every day. So you're constantly in a state of looking at, how is this world reflecting to me what I still need to work on? And you just get used to that, and you surrender into that, and you go, there's my old thing from my dad, or there's my old thing from my old teacher when I was 6. You will see this stuff and you'll start to be able to laugh a bit, because you get so, when you're younger about it all. But you will unfold and you will learn, and say to yourself, I've done all right since I've started learning, and I'm going to keep, you know what? 30 years ago, when I started reading Neville, I used to think, what is this guy talking about? Why was people saying to read this? This bores me. I'm bored. That's what I used to say about Neville. I thought, this is a waste of time. He talks in all these riddles. This gets on my damn nerves. That's what I said when I was 27. It was an irritating thing. So how I even got here and continued reading it was purely because of my law of attraction friend, who is now, she's 25 years older than me. It was her patience of learning that she took me on the ride with her, because I wasn't patient. I would have just thrown it in the bin and said, I'm going to go and read something else. So you are here, you are learning. Try and just say, I'm doing okay, and I'm going to use my job and use what these people trigger off in me to grow and learn and dissolve to the point where people can't trigger my anger anymore.
I see. So, for example, sometimes I have been thinking or wondering.
Lazlo, can I stop, darling? I've
Yes,
got Mary Lou who has a question too, so I'm going to jump over to her. And
no problem.
then I'm going to read a bit more, so because we're going to never get through this book if we if we just keep. It's good that you guys ask questions, but I am going to have to interject to keep reading a bit. Mary Lou.
Oh, this was so great. Thank you, Lazlo, for sharing that.
That's a good question.
Yeah, because my parents are immigrants from Mexico. I'm first generation born in the United States.
Mm.
And I was born into poverty and raised in poverty. And so that used to make me really angry. And I was
Yeah.
frustrated because of my circumstances and what I was taught, my programming and my conditioning. So I can really relate to what Lazlo is saying. And
Mm.
where the difference is for me is that I've shifted it internally. I'm using that as a desire to create more and more wealth in my life so that I can contribute to the causes that I totally believe in.
Mm.
And so it's so good. I'm a self-made millionaire, just recently found that out within the last 4 years, but I've done it in a really hard way, which is why I'm here to learn how to do it in a way that is with ease and flow and fun. And I want to share with you that one of my triggers, that's why I raised my hand with Lazlo, because
Yeah.
one of my triggers, and I know it blocks me from receiving Agnes, so I need your help. But one
Yeah.
of my triggers is that when I first started learning about self-development and how to become the best version of myself, I learned it through a man who had apprenticed with a shaman. So one of the things that I learned was ancient wisdom. And as we become better people, then we give back. Like that is part of our duty, our obligation is to contribute to humanity in whatever ways we want to. So that is what I've done. Even before I was even making 5K a month or whatever it was, I gave back to causes. So this is part of my DNA and my genetic makeup. But what I'm finding in the manifestation world, and I never really I'm just starting to dig into the manifestation world, which is why I'm here. But one
Yeah.
of the things that triggers me is when people who have $15 million businesses, when they're talking about circulating the energy of money and they're referring to, $60,000, $70,000 Fendi bags,
Yeah.
versus using the example of, or they're talking about their, $10 million home or their cars. And to me, I feel like I get triggered, which I know is a really beautiful thing because it triggers the effing shit out of me. Because I go, she doesn't even know what it's like to be poor. She doesn't
Yeah.
know what it's like to not have food, to not be able to have presents at Christmas time. She does not
Yeah.
know what it's like. And so I get triggered and my own victimhood starts to come up and I get
Yeah.
blocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get blocked. And I know it's so good, but I'm like,
Yes.
I want it to block me. I want it to be like Lazlo. Like, how do I use that to be like, that's
Mm.
not her path. It's my path. And I know that. So
Yes.
what I
Yeah.
can see.
Mary Lou, can I ask you, is the trigger like, why do you need that stupid bag? Like, is it that stuff?
It's because I don't value that. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
value a $400,000 car. I don't value
Yeah.
a $70,000 bag. Like, there's so many different ways you can use examples about how
Yeah.
to circulate the
Yeah.
energy of money. And
Yeah.
but then again, Agnes, that's
Mm.
not her story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't want to
But I
judge.
think, because I grew up poor too. So, where we just didn't have, my dad was on welfare. It was like, it was snowing. He couldn't work. He was a builder. He worked outside. So we went months without him being able to work. But I think when you come from that background, it's like you get to the point when you have money, like you do, like I do, that you cannot sort of get rid of the blueprint of, is that really important? That's really not important to me. It's like you're saying, you will never forget where you came from.
Mhm.
And it's always in us, no matter how much money we have, the child that remembers not having enough food and then you got food and how grateful you were. I think that is one of the greatest things about having been poor, is just the gratitude ignites so easily. Because you've been where you've been, you will never forget it. And the gratitude is such a powerful thing that I think is the greatest gift that we have, from having had no money to then having money, and then going, I will never forget where I came from. Who can I help now that I'm in a better position? And for you and me, it's not a Fendi bag.
No.
It's just not. So, and that's all right, because I still have that. Like, I still have those. That's where my judgments come up too. It's like, why would you need that? You could have fed a whole tribe in a country that has orphans. You could have given the money there on that one bag, and I cannot not think those things still to this day. Like you say, it triggers it off, but then you go, huh? What can I give to, or where can I be of service? And it brings up that push from childhood, which is I think it's a really nice thing, and you can have a laugh at it, because you know where it comes from. But wow, what a wonderful thing that we have evolved into from having not had hardly anything in the beginning. It's the power and the fuel that gives us the passion to pay things forward, whether it's money or time or whatever. So
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, it's easy to say don't judge, but we do.
Yeah.
And that is still something we need to continue to work on. But I can't say to you I'm judge free. I still have judgments about certain things. And, it's saying, okay, I can see that judgment, but I'm not Jesus Christ. And I never probably will be, because he was him and we are us. But it's bringing out the best of us as we can. But I can never say to you, I am a master of being judge free, because I saw the little comment there from CW. I cannot say I am judgment free. So and I think sometimes the passion that comes from having a judgment can push you into a good direction to do something that you feel is worthwhile and that is in line with your integrity and your, like you said at the beginning, wanting to make the world a little bit of a better place for someone other than me, you know? Yeah.
So just even laughing at that, like going, oh, this is beautiful, and laughing, that even feels better. That feels lighter. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing honestly, Agnes. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad you brought it up because it's so easy to not talk about that stuff. You know, it's like we're sitting here going, oh, we're doing LOA, we're doing Neville, oh, you know, we're trying to be, but it's like, come on. You know, we are where we are. And I can tell you after 30 years of doing this stuff, I'm not judgment free. I'm not. And I do my best, but I still have things that trigger me because of everyone's me pushed out, because of my childhood, because of, you know, it's an evolution. I mean, I don't feel jealousy or envy about people that have money. I used to years ago. I used to judge them. It was that poverty grandiosity that, you know, poor people judging people with money because all people with money are bad because they did something to get it and it was negative and it was ripping someone off. And that, you know, is so common in the dialogue of the parents that raise people like me and many others that have that old judgment of people that have money, that they're all evil and they all do the bad things. So it's so good when you start having money that you go, wow, there's a whole sea of people out here. They don't need to broadcast. They give money away privately, quietly. Where are those people? I want to talk to them one-on-one. That's a beautiful thing. And that is something that I love, is when those people, you know, just by a little conversation here and there, you go, oh, they're doing those things. There they are. There's my flock. There's my flock, the ones that give and do it quietly and don't need to be on a soapbox about it. So, yeah, good line of conversation. So, does anyone have the book that I have and have a desire to read? Because Mary Lou, do you want to read?
I don't actually have yours, so I do have a book, but it's not the same one that you're reading.
Oh, that's okay. Do you know where I am in the book? Were you following along?
I was, yeah. I think you were.
I was at yeah, if you want to pick it up, if you remember where I was, go ahead. I mean, if it's not the exact sentence, don't worry. That's okay. Do you feel like reading?
Well, I can read. I definitely don't have the understanding that you do. So
That's okay. I'll stop you at different bits and go, okay, hang on, let's dissect that. So I'll jump in. If you feel like reading, it gives me a break to then digest and concentrate on explaining.
Yeah, okay. I believe you were at, and I'll just start. This agreement is never made between two persons. It is between the awareness and the thing desired. You are now a conscious being, so you can actually, oh, oops, we're past that.
That's okay. Reading it again's fine. I think I wasn't much further than that anyway.
So you are actually saying to yourself without using the words, I am. Now, if it is a state of health that you are desiring of attaining before you have the evidence of health in your world, you begin to feel yourself to be healthy. And the very second the feeling I am healthy is attained, the two have agreed. That is, I am health and have agreed to be one. And this agreement ever results in the birth of a child, which is the thing you agreed upon. Okay, I think we passed that. I am the way. Besides me, there is no other. If you take the wings of the morning and fly into the uttermost parts of the world, or if you make your bed in hell, you are still being, you will still be aware of being. You are ever sent into expression by your awareness, and your expression is ever that which you are aware of being.
Okay.
Again, yeah, that was.
So that last bit in particular, it's like wherever you are, you're still aware of being. You're aware of being uncomfortable. You're aware of being anxious. You're aware of being tired. You're aware of being hesitant to go to work. You have an awareness of being, even if it's not, oh, what is it that I'm aware of right now? You don't sort of have that thought. You just kind of go, oh, I don't feel good today. I don't want to get out of bed. So you're aware of the feeling place you're in. So what he's talking about here is that your awareness and your expression is ever that which you are aware of being. So your expression being how you express it. So it's like it's two halves of a nut. Okay. You've got the awareness. I feel anxious. I feel angry. I feel brokenhearted. I feel inadequate. And then the expression is, what are you doing with it? So in the light of, let's say, relationships, because that's such a big topic, when you are in your whatever state you're in, those emotions that I just mentioned, it's like, okay, in a relationship, what do I do when I'm aware of being anxious and insecure? And really underneath it's fear. I then over-text because I don't feel comfortable with my fear. I don't know what to do with it. So I over-text. I over-insert myself into someone's life because I need to try and get love from them so that my fear calms down. So your expression of that, then you're aware of being a pain in the backside to someone. And then they ghost you. They look at your message. You see there's 2 ticks and they're blue on WhatsApp, and then they don't reply. So then you're aware of the rejection. So the 2 halves of the nut, and this is often what we discuss in regards to relationships, you have your awareness of what you're doing or thinking, feeling, but then you really work on not, let's say, engaging with an impulse of acting out from that place. You go, ooh, I can feel the fear. I can feel the, what if they're with someone else? I can feel the, they're not contacting me. I can feel all that. And I'm not going to dump that in their direction. I'm going to sit with that and I'm going to go, where did that come from? I feel rotten. I'm going to write it out, or I'm going to do something physical. I might be, if it's not anger and I feel hurt, I might do a meditation. So you pick the activity that suits the emotion. You can't sit and meditate when you're angry. That's ridiculous. It'll drive you mad and it'll make you more angry. Go for a run, do something physical. If you feel hurt, you feel brokenhearted, wrap yourself up in a blanket, do a meditation, and nurture yourself in that way. So you pick whatever is the best way to go. So what happens is then you become more, let's say, centered, balanced, grounded. It's not about never having emotions, but it's like you jump from being a teenager to a more mature adult when you can do these things. Because there's a lot of teenagers walking around in adult bodies from the age of about 30 to 75. And it's the behavior, it's not the age the person is, it's the behaviors of the teenager that are still going on. And that's why there's so many difficulties in relationships. So if you can be aware of he talks about, be still, be aware of being, then be aware of what you're being. What are you in? And then from that, start to regulate yourself. And that's stepping into being a more mature adult and not a codependent adult, because adults that have emotions that they can't handle then try and find someone to be codependent with. So that person will look after them and you look after them. And in a 2-way, you're dependent on each other rather than being independent and bringing that towards the relationship, where 2 people are secure, 2 people have self-love, 2 people look after themselves. So carrying on, Mary Lou.
Okay, all right. All right, there. Okay, so again, Moses stated, I am that I am. Now, here's something to always bear in mind. You cannot put new wine in old bottles or new patches upon old garments. That is, you cannot take with you into the new consciousness any part of that old man. All of your present beliefs, fears, and limitations are weights that bind you to your present level of consciousness.
I'm going to talk about that a bit. I love that about you cannot put new wine in old bottles or new patches upon old garments. It is so visually interesting how he describes this. So Neville talks a lot about the old man. What is the old man? The old man is your old thoughts, your old beliefs, your old ways of being. I'm not good enough. I'm not going to pass this test. Good things never happen to me. Those are old thoughts that don't serve you. That is what Neville calls the old man. You're stuck in the old man. So to jump into the new state of consciousness, the new man, it is jumping mentally from those types of thoughts to, wouldn't it be nice if I did pass the test this time? I am love. And you step into the possibilities of different thoughts. That's how you shift. And you move. It's a command. I am is a command. I am wealthy. I mean, I remember years ago, I used to try and practice, because this was the 90s. So the word prosperity and abundance was pretty, huge at that time. I remember, because I grew up with no money, I remember thinking a pile of prosperity and a pile of abundance, that's no visual for me. I can't see any of that. So those particular affirmations, even though I understand in my head today at 57 years old that they're good, those affirmations do not work for me because they're too fuzzy targeted. They don't speak to my visual brain, and I'm highly visual, so I need something clear. So I am free makes a lot more sense, because if you have money, you can do what you want when you want. People that have money have freedom. So practicing walking on a beach and being free on a weekend when I didn't have to work, that I could relate to. So that was letting go of the old man for me, was walking on the beach, feeling free with the wind in my hair, seeing the horizon line and going, oh my God, I've got a day off. This is what a wealthy person would feel like every day. So that you've got to work out what hits the spot for you. So certain affirmations, certain words will not be good for you, and some will be exceptionally good for you. So you've got to tailor make whatever it is that you are saying to get out of the old man into the new man. You have to start to make the jump with words that, and you might even not do it in English. You might not do it in English. You might come from a country where you have a first language. Do your affirmations in your own language. It's whatever evokes the most feeling of naturalness and the feeling of, that one hits the spot. And I find that the shorter they are, the better they are. So, yeah. Okay. Mary Lou, continuing on a little bit.
If you would transcend this level, you must leave behind all that is now your present self or conception of yourself. To do this, you take your attention away from all that is now your problem or limitation and dwell upon just being. That is, you say silently, but feeling to yourself, I am. Do not condition this awareness as yet. Just declare yourself to be and continue to do so until you are lost in the feeling of just being, faceless and formless. When this expansion of consciousness is attained, then within this formless deep of yourself, give form to the new conception by feeling yourself to be that which you desire to be.
Nice. So, I mean, we've heard this many times. You start to do the change in your mind, change your thoughts by changing what you're thinking. And I mean, Abraham Hicks says it, I think, the best, that a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. So all you've got to do is change one thought. So if you can start with something simple, change the one thought. Like for me, I am prosperous, I'm abundant didn't give me any feeling. I couldn't even generate a feeling for that. But if I said I am free and I was walking on the beach on a weekend, whoo, I am free, I could feel that so much more easily. So it's finding the slipstream for what really, really works for you to get into the feeling of what it is you're trying to manifest or create. So thank you, Mary Lou. Thank you. Does anyone else have the book and would like to do a little bit of reading? Okay, I will read a little bit.
Yes, I do.
You do. Go ahead, Anjalli. That came out of nowhere. Go ahead. So we are at,
Okay.
you know where we
Yeah.
are? Okay, you take over. Go ahead.
So I think Mary read until that which you desire to be.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So I start from the next paragraph, which is, you will find within this deep of yourself all things to be divinely possible. Everything in the world which you can conceive of being is to you within this present formless awareness a most natural attainment. The invitation given us in the scriptures is to be absent from the body and to be present with the Lord. The body being your former conception of yourself and the Lord, your awareness of being. This is what is meant when Jesus said to Nicodemus, "Ye must be born again, for except ye be born again, ye cannot enter the kingdom of heaven." That is, except you leave behind your present conception of yourself and assume the nature of the new birth, you will continue to outpicture your present limitations.
So, in regards to being born again, because we've heard that, many times, but being born again is shifting from the old state of I am poor, I'm unloved, I'm not worthy, I'm insecure, to I'm secure, I am loved, I am wealthy, I am whatever it is, you stick in the blank after that. So that is being born again, because we think that we are, before we start all this work that we're talking about today, it's like you only really start to learn about the laws, and I hear a lot about the law of assumption. It's like every sort of decade there's a new law that gets pushed to the top. It's been the law of attraction, it's been the law of liberty, it's been the law of for Neville, it's really the law of assumption is the main one, but this is the one that's coming to the surface on YouTube a lot at the moment. But the thing is, you can't analyze one law. It's like saying, all I'm going to plant is grass, and then what are the bees supposed to feed off? It's like a garden has a variety to make the whole system work. It's the same with this. You've got the law of attraction, you've got the law of assumption, but you can't just block out all the other laws. And the more you do this work where you're learning about Neville's law of assumption, which is a fabulous law, there hopefully comes a time where you go, let me learn about the other laws and see how they all fit together, because it is an ecosystem amongst itself, how the laws interconnect, they dovetail. So it's a good place to start, law of attraction, law of assumption, because law of assumption is Neville's bumper sticker law. That's the one he uses, and he talks about the law of liberty as well. But it is about seeing that there's more than just grass and flowers. There are other plants to make the ecosystem work. So it is just for today, depending on wherever your journey is with Neville, it's saying, okay, I'm going to put that on the back burner as something to explore along my journey, these other laws. I think there is maybe 2 or 3 videos I've done about the other laws over the last, few years. So if you want to have a bit of just a little bit of learning about the laws, then you can go on YouTube or you can go on Google and say, I want to learn about the law of whatever, and go and explore that law, because it will help you to then apply the law of attraction, Neville's law of assumption, and then help your manifesting journey, because you're looking at the bigger tapestry instead of just looking at the one little crocheted square, so to speak. Okay, so Mary Lou, I will answer your question because I think this is an important one. I would start with Neville's, obviously the law of assumption. I would then look at, there's a book called The 7 Spiritual Laws, and there's obviously 7 in there. I would start with the ones he mentions in that book, because that's a great, and it's a thin book. And he wrote the book and goes through 1 law per chapter. So that's an excellent resource for just getting a little bite size into each one. Anjalli.
Okay.
Continuing on.
The only way to change your expression of life is to change your consciousness. For consciousness is the reality that eternally solidifies itself in the things round about you. Man's world in its every detail is his consciousness outpictured. You can no more change your environment or world by destroying things than you can your own reflection by destroying the mirror. Your environment and all within it reflects that which you are in consciousness. As long as you continue to be that in consciousness, so long, you will continue to outpicture it in your world. Knowing this, begin to revalue yourself. Man has placed too little value upon himself. In the book of Numbers, you will read, in that day, there were giants in the lands, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And we were in their sight as grasshoppers. This does not mean a time in the dim past when man had the stature of giants. Today is the day, the eternal now, when conditions round about you have attained the appearance of giants, such as unemployed, the armies of your enemy, your problems, and all the things that seem to threaten you. Those are the giants that make you feel yourself to be grasshopper. But you are told you were first in your own sight a grasshopper, and because of this you were to the giants a grasshopper. In other words, you can only be to others what you are first to yourself. Should I go ahead?
On mute.
Thank you,
We can't-
Mary Lou. Yes, Anjalli. Sorry, I forgot I muted. There was someone
Okay,
with
so
a car
I'll go
alarm, so
ahead.
I've muted myself. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so therefore, to revalue yourself and begin to feel yourself to be the giant, a center of power is to dwarf these former giants and make of them grasshoppers. All the inhabitants of the earth are as nothing, as he doeth according to his will in the armies of heaven and among all the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand, nor say unto him, what dost thou? This being spoken of in the orthodox God sitting in the space, but the one and only God, the everlasting Father, your awareness of being. So awake to the power that you are, not as man, but as your true self, a faceless, formless awareness, and free yourself from your self-imprisoned prison.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just say a little bit here.
Sure.
What's really interesting about when you're trying to work out what someone's beliefs are, you don't have to look very far. If you know a little bit about them, you will know what people think and believe by what they're living. Okay? So if you want to know what they think about money, if you want to know what they think about love in particular, because they're two of the biggest topics, the things that they say, and if people are struggling in those two areas, it's very rare that they will keep quiet and not say anything, because suffering causes people to speak usually, or you will see it on their face if they're more introverted and don't speak about things. So it's, if you know the person and you are at a reasonable level of knowing, but you might not be where you're discussing things one-on-one, their life will tell you what they think and feel about each topic. So people that have trouble in relationships tells you that they have negative thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about relationships. Not all the time. They might be working on themselves, but it's tipping it over the 50% mark. So if you want to have a good relationship, you have to shift your thoughts about that topic. You also got to shift your thoughts about the gender that you prefer to date. So I find in the line of work I do, most people that come to discuss things have the belief relationships are hard, and my relationships are hard. And I understand that because that's what I used to think as well. So it's shifting that big belief or the state, if you're talking Neville, shifting from relationships to hard to, my romantic relationships are easy. That feels better. And then you practice it, you practice it, you practice it. And that, I think, would be one of the main ones to practice, because it's a general statement. It's well, if you're living relationships are hard, that will feel like quite a big jump in the beginning. You can do it because we're talking about at your command, infinite spirit, God, source, universe, whatever word you prefer. Open the way for my relationships to be easy. That's how you put it in command form. And this book is about commands. So, source, open the way for, and I'm glad Mary Lou mentioned $1 million, because that's a nice one to focus on. Open the way for my first $1 million. If you're struggling today here in this group with money, shift out of the old man into the new man, into the new thought, into the knowing that it's a possibility for you. So it really is a simple statement, and you practice it. And then you bring the new state into the present. You got to let go of, $1 million, that'll never happen to me. Got to let go of that, because that's the old man talking. Oh, well, we grew up poor and no one in my family has any money. Yeah, but you can. So you shift, shift, shift. And you then get the feeling of how amazing would it be to have $1 million, and then I would be free to do. And then you fill in the blanks, what the sort of things you'd love to do. So, Anjalli, you want to read a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. I'm more than happy to do that.
Nice. I like listening to you guys read. It means I can concentrate. It's good. It's lovely.
Right. So I'm the good shepherd and know my sheep, and am known of mine. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they will follow me. Awareness is the good shepherd. What I am aware of being is the sheep that follows me. So good a shepherd is your awareness. That is, has you ever lost one of the sheep that you are aware of being? I'm a voice calling in the wilderness of human confusion for such as I am aware of being. And never shall there come a time when that which I am convinced that I am shall fail to find me. I am is an open door for all that I am to enter. Your awareness of being is Lord and Shepherd of your life. So, The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want is seen in its true light now to be your consciousness. You could never be in the want of proof or lack the evidence of that which you are aware of being. This being true, why not become aware of being great, God-loving, well, healthy, and all attributes that you admire? It is just as easy. Should I stop or should I continue?
I'll just say one thing.
Okay.
I am is a command. It is a command to the universe, source, God, infinite intelligence. What you put after it? I am, I am, I am. I remember thinking, why do they keep going on about all this I am business? I don't understand why that's important. It is because it's what you put after it that becomes, firstly, what you're doing on the inside. And then the photocopy on the outside can change. So first you have to change your I am poor to I am wealthy, I am rich, I am, if you want to use abundant prosperity, if that works for you, whatever word you use, the shift begins with I am. It's like that's the key that opens the door. Like he says, it's the door where everything enters. So you have to start with that. And then when you start, and it's nice and simple, it's 3 words, I am, and what are you putting after it? So whatever topic you're struggling with today, it doesn't matter because you have the ability to think and no one's in your head that can stop you from thinking what you want to think. No one can get in there to stop you. And this is where you have the freedom to practice at your command, the I am, and then put something in. While I think of it, Wayne Dyer has an I am meditation. For those of you that don't know it, if you go to YouTube, put Wayne Dyer I am meditation. It is a piece of music. It's 20 minutes. And then there's another little 10 seconds in the middle where you hear nothing. And then it starts the second section of 20 minutes. It is the most wonderful piece of music.
Yeah.
And you can practice. It's called the I am meditation. So if you want to practice that and then silently do I am, and put in what it is that you really want to manifest, that piece of music is profoundly good. I think I've been using it for, I can't even remember. I've been using that piece of music for a long time. Sometimes I don't say anything. I just fall asleep to it. It is profoundly beautiful. It is got some ancient moving tones to it until you listen to it. So when this gets uploaded, I will put the link to that meditation down below. But for those of you that want to have a look at it before then, it's got a black thumbnail and it's got an infinity symbol in orange. Fantastic. I find even doing Ho'oponopono to it to fall asleep is it puts me into a beautiful deep sleep. If you're having nightmares, excellent way to soothe that, especially if you're, I know a lot of people have dreams about third parties and breakups when they've come out of a relationship and all that stuff, and it can be really intense. That's a really good balm for the soul if you need something. Okay. All right, Anjalli, continuing on.
Sure. It is just as easy to possess the consciousness of these qualities as it is to possess their opposite, for you have not your present consciousness because of your world. On the contrary, your world is what it is because of your present consciousness. Simple it is not, too simple in face for the wisdom of the main that tries to complicate everything. Paul said to the principle, it is to the Greeks, or wisdom of this world, foolishness, and to the Jews, or those who look for signs, a stumbling block, with the result that man continues to walk in the darkness, rather than awake to the being that he is. Man has so long worshipped the images of his own making that at first he finds this revelation blasphemous, since it spells death to all his previous beliefs in a God apart from himself. The revelation will bring the knowledge that I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. You are the one with your present conception of yourself, but you are greater than that which you are at present aware of being.
Mhm.
Before
So-
man can, yeah.
I'll just say, Anjalli, before you carry on, that it really is, I mean, this question gets tossed about so often. We are God. God isn't out there. But when you look at what he's saying here, it's again two halves of a nut. You have the God within you. You are reawakening it, because usually until something happens and you end up suffering, then you look for answers. Then you start thinking, okay, how does all this work? And you go through the process of spiritual evolution, that there's not just little old me, or for some people that grew up religious, that they continue on and deeper learning of their religion. And then there are other people that are religious that toss it out and just want to have their own relationship with God on their own. So it doesn't matter which way you go, but it's the knowledge that, if you're looking through the eyes of Neville, that you are God, but I and my Father are one, and my Father is greater than I. So what that says, if you want to dissect the mechanics of it a little bit, there is a greater presence than us that knows all, and we are plugging our socket back into it to remember that we are part of that, and that we then can learn to lean on the knowledge a bit more through meditation, through prayer. Neville's written a book, Prayer, the Art of Believing. He's written the book, Feeling is the Secret. He's written, these books, Faith is Your Fortune. There are books that connect you to the bigger power, the bigger God, the bigger source. So if you are, wherever you are in believing, does God exist? Does God not exist? What's going on? It doesn't matter where you're at, because there is a learning that you can do from where you're standing. And the aim of all of that is to get more freedom and more peace, because that is the thing that is missing from so many people's lives, is peace. There is no peace. So it's like, it's not out there. It's about learning to harness where you allow your mind to go, because you can create the most unbelievable disasters for your own self, and I mean, there's people in prisons, people in institutions, because they were unable to harness themselves and they acted out, or things happened and they ended up in these places. So when we know this, you see the magnitude of how important this work is to get yourself to a place of peace by learning about how to give your mind things to do rather than allowing it to wander around on its own, because that can be a disaster for many people, especially in the morning. Morning is a danger zone for many people. So is the nighttime, because it's that time alone laying in bed, and then the mind starts finding things to do. So when you know what Neville's talking about here, about I and my Father are one, what a wonderful thing to explore that, there is an infinite intelligence that I can plug into, learn from, receive messages from, which is the visioning. I'll explain that a little bit better. Visualizing, uploading to the universe, visioning, listening, and getting downloads. We did quite a few meditations in groups in 2022, and I think at the beginning of 2023, which I will do again soon. But that listening and connecting because we are so limited in the information we know. And it's once you go, okay, but that's all right, I can't know everything, but I'm going to rely on listening for answers and messages. He calls it the Father. We can call it the universe, infinite intelligence, source. The words don't matter so much. In this book, it's more religious. He talks about it being the Father, and that's totally okay. But you get the gist of that it's the connection to the all-knowing that is such, it makes life so much easier. Let's just say that. I grew up, my family grew up atheist, and then my mother got into Eastern religion when I was probably about, I don't know, 14, 15, if I remember correctly. So I went down that rabbit hole for many years and learned many wonderful things, and went over there to discover it and sit in meditation for hours. And then that went on to Neville. So it's like the trap door was open in terms of connecting with the power that is greater than me. So I and my Father are one, Source and I are one. And if you can really stop trying to do everything with your own might, because that's exhausting. The more you relax, the more you surrender, the more you ask. I mean, Esther Hicks wrote a whole book on that. Ask and it is given. Neville talks about at your command. You know, you ask and you get a clear line of energy by making these commands. I am, as we discussed. So that's an easy one to practice. So whatever you're struggling with today, start practicing your I am in regards to money, in regards to a relationship, in regards to a specific person, in regards to the amazing house you want to live in, the job, the travel, the healing a health condition or someone else's health condition. Use your mind to assist whatever you see around you and become someone whose energy is cleaning things up rather than contributing to the mess, if there is one around you. Okay? So, a little bit more, Anjalli.
Before man can attempt to transform his world, he must first lay the foundation. I am the Lord. That is, man's awareness, his consciousness of being is God. Until this is firmly established so that no suggestion or argument put forward by others can shake it, he will find himself returning to the slavery of his former beliefs. If ye believe not that I am he, ye shall die in your sins. That is, you shall continue to be confused and thwarted until you find the cause of your confusion. When you have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall you know that I am he, that is, that I, John Smith, do nothing of myself, but my Father, or that state of consciousness which I am now, one with does the work. When this is realized, every urge and desire that springs within you shall find expression in your world. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and sup with him and he with me. The I knocking at the door is the urge. The door is your consciousness. To open the door is to become one with that which is knowing, knocking by feeling oneself to be the thing desired. To feel one's desire as impossible is to shut the door or deny this urge expression. To rise in consciousness to the naturalness of the thing felt is to swing wide the door and invite this one into embodiment. That is why it is constantly recorded that Jesus left the world of manifestation and ascended unto his Father. Jesus, as you and I, found all things impossible to Jesus as man. But having discovered his Father to be the state of consciousness of the thing desired, he but left behind him the Jesus consciousness and rose in consciousness to that state desired and stood upon it until he became one with it. As he made himself one with that, he became that in expression. This
Okay.
Jesus,
Can I pause you, Anjalli, for a second?
yes,
just-
and I really found this one to
Yeah.
very difficult to grasp.
I know, that's why I thought I'd go back. I'm going to go back to the bit that makes the most sense, and that's probably the easiest way to understand it. Yeah, it's good that you say that, because sometimes you read and your eyes glaze over and you go, what? What was that about? So the door is your consciousness. So to open the door is to become one with that which is knocking by feeling. So the I am is the knocking on the door, and then you put something after it. So you're knocking on the door with I am, you open the door with I am wealth. You open the door with I am health. You open the door with I am love. You're opening the door with the things that you truly desire that you perhaps don't have right now. So it's, if you just see it as the door is the consciousness, and you want to open the door because you're standing on the other side of it, which is I'm unloved, I'm unwanted, I'm poor. You've got those things operating. I'm not saying you got all of those, but you know what I mean. I'm using these as examples. So you're standing on this side and you're knocking, but you're still in your old state. So the door is the consciousness. It's the way you move through into the life that you desire on any given topic. So if you knock on the door and it opens really by the feeling of the new thing you want, that's what opens. It's open sesame. You can knock as much as you want, but until you change your thought from I am poor to I am wealthy, from I'm unloved to I am loved, the door remains shut. You can be aware of the door, but to open the door, to experience what's on the other side, you have to change your conscious, what you're conscious of. You've got to change from I'm conscious of I'm poor and I want to be rich. But you can't do I want to be rich, because that's still a poor person's thought. You got to go, I am wealthy. I am free. Bing, the door opens. So walking through the door is simple in theory, but you've got to remember to first be aware that you are in a state of I am poor and that you don't want to be in that state anymore. And then go, I'm going to shift to I am wealthy. And then you got to go, that's how a poor, you're gonna go from that poor little stance where your eyes are darting around because you're frightened about who's going to ask you for money or how you're going to pay stuff. You got to straighten up and walk through the door with I am wealthy, and you leave the old man behind. So first you got to do it with the thought. It starts with the thought change, then it's got to be where you get into the state. And you may not know what it feels like to be wealthy. I didn't, but I did know what it felt like to be free. So I worked more in that direction, and then the wealth came. But it's working out, how do I open the door through a change in my consciousness? I know where I want to go, but I got to stop looking at it as a bright, shiny object that I can't get to, like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, and they were trying to get to the wizard, and then he's just some guy doing all weird things behind the curtain. He's not really a wizard at all with any powers. But they developed along the way the courage, the heart, all these things that they were trying to go to the wizard for. And that's why that story is amazing, because it looks like it's a child's story, but it's really about changing states and a change of consciousness. If you watch that movie now, knowing what we've discussed, whether it's today or you're learning about Neville, or if you watch that now, you will really get the true meaning of that story. It's profound, and it looked childlike. but the message is in that. And it's like they had within them what they were trying to get from him. And it's the same with us. We've got everything in us, but we can be like the elephant with a piece of string, not knowing that you can just walk over it. The elephant stays in the square. So to get out of the square, to get out of the state, you have to first be aware of that you're not in a state that's desired, then make a decision to change the state, firstly in your mind, then in your presence, because the old man's stance is very different to how the new man would walk around if you had the love, the money, the amazing job, the freedom, the dream home, whatever it is. You would walk around feeling peaceful or excited or happy. So do those things first, and then you will see the external shift. So I love this book. It's a very thin book, but wow, it's got some good, really important nuggets in it. So, Anjalli, did you want to read a little bit more? We've only got about 30 minutes left. So if you want to keep reading a bit.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
This is Jesus' simple message to man. Men are but garments that the impersonal being, I am, the presence that men call God, dwells in. Each garment has certain limitations. In order to transcend these limitations and give expression to that which, as man, John Smith, you find yourself incapable of doing, you take your attention away from your present limitations or John Smith conception of yourself and merge yourself in the feeling of being that which you desire. Just how this desire or newly attained consciousness will embody itself, no man knows. For I, or the newly attained consciousness, has ways that ye know not of, its ways are past finding out. Do not speculate as to how of this consciousness embodying itself, for no man is wise enough to know the how. Speculation is proof that you have not attained to the naturalness of being the thing desired, and so are filled with doubts. You are told, he who lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, that gives to the liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given unto him. But let him ask not doubting, for he who doubts is as a wave of sea that is tossed and battered by the winds. And let not such a one think that he shall receive anything from the Lord. You can see why this statement is made. For only upon the rock of faith can anything be established. If you have not the consciousness of the thing that you have, not the cause of foundation upon which thing is erected. A proof of this established consciousness. Oh, I lost it. Sorry. A proof of this established consciousness is given you in the words, thank you, Father. When you come into the joy of thanksgiving, so that you actually feel grateful for having received that which is not yet apparent to the sense, you will definitely become one in consciousness with the thing for which you give thanks. God, your awareness is not mocked. You are ever receiving that which you are aware of being, and no man gives thanks for something which he has not received. Thank you, Father, is not, as it is used by many today, a sort of magical formula. You need never utter aloud the words, thank you, Father, in applying this principle as you rise in consciousness to the point where you are really grateful and happy for having received the thing you desired. You automatically rejoice and give thanks inwardly. You have already accepted the gift which was but a desire before you rose in consciousness, and your faith is now the substance that shall clothe your desire. The rising in consciousness is the spiritual marriage where two shall agree upon being one, and their likeness or image is established on earth. For whosoever ye ask in my name, the same give I unto you. Whosoever is a quite a large measure. It is unconditional. It does not state if society deems it right or wrong that you should ask it. It rests with you. Do you really want it? Do you desire it? That is all that is necessary. Life will give it to you if you ask in His name. His name is not a name that you pronounce with the lips. You can ask forever in the name of God or Jehovah or Christ Jesus, and you will ask in vain. Name means nature. So, when you ask in the nature of a thing, results ever follow. To ask in the name is to rise in consciousness and become one in nature with the thing desired. Rise in consciousness to the nature of the thing, and you will become that thing in expression. Therefore, what things soever you desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall receive them. Praying, as we have shown you before, is recognition. The injunction to believe that you receive in first person, present tense. This means that you must be in the nature of the thing asked for before you can receive them. To get into the nature easily, general amnesty is necessary. We are told, forgive if you have aught against any, that your Father also, which is in heaven, may forgive you. But if you forgive not, neither will your Father forgive you. This may seem to be some personal God who is pleased or displeased with your actions, but this is not the case. Consciousness, being God, if you hold in consciousness anything against man, you are binding that condition to your world. But to release man from all condemnation is to free yourself so that you may rise to any level necessary. That is, therefore, no condemnation to those in Christ Jesus. Therefore, a very good practice before you enter into your meditation is to first free every man in the world from blame. For law is never violated, then you can rest confidently in the knowledge that every man's conception of himself is going to be his reward. So you do not have to bother yourself about seeing whether or not man gets what you consider he should get. For life makes no mistakes and always gives man that which man first gives himself. It's so beautiful.
It is, isn't it? It's really about gratitude and forgiveness and also faith.
Yeah.
You know, the faith to ask and to ask from a place of being in the state of whatever it is that you desire. So the work is forgiving everyone. The work is being grateful. The work is living in the end and really practicing getting better at those things and doing them more quickly, more frequently, and pulling your attention away from all these other things that just clutter up and slow down the manifestations that you desire. So it is a beautiful reading. And in this bit, he speaks in a way that is easier for us to understand than at the beginning of the book. It's just much easier English. So that's why I haven't said anything, Anjalli, because I think he explains it simply here and it's free flowing. So
I'll
yeah.
continue. Should I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This brings us to the must abuse statement of the Bible on tithing. Teachers
Tithing.
of
It's
tithing.
tithing is giving 10% away. Usually it was done for religious reasons, giving it to the church, but
Okay.
people, and it's a way to create more money, is to give a portion or a percentage of your money to something or someone. In this 2024, people give it to charities, organizations. It's not just for churches. You might give
Oh.
it to a specific person that has really helped you. I tithe to my law of attraction friend regularly, because when I really needed it, she bought me books. She spent time talking to me. She really assisted me at a time where I was having an incredibly hard time. So now that I have more money and I have more time, I'm able to tithe to her. And it is such a nice way to say thank you for the 30 years that she's helped me.
Right.
Mm.
So teachers of all kinds have enslaved man with this affair of tithing, for not themselves understanding the nature of tithing and being themselves fearful of lack. They have led their followers to believe that a tenth part of their income should be given to the Lord, meaning, as they make very clear, that when one gives a tenth part of his income to their particular organization, he is giving his tenth part to the Lord, or is tithing. But remember, I am the Lord. Your awareness of being is the God that you give to, and you ever give in this manner. Therefore, you can claim yourself to be anything. You have given that claim or quality to God. And your awareness of being, which is no respecter of person, will return to you pressed down, taken together, and running over with that quality or attribute which you can claim for yourself. Awareness of being is nothing that you could ever name. To claim God is to be rich, to be great, to be loved, to be all wise, is to define that which cannot be defined. For God is nothing that could ever be named. Tithing is necessary, and you do tithe with God. But from now on, give to the only God and see to it that you give him the quality that you desire as man to express by claiming yourself to be the great, the wealthy, the loving, and all wise. Do not speculate as to how you shall express these qualities or claims, for life has a way that you, as a man, know not of. Its ways are past finding out, but I assure you, the day you claim these qualities to the point of conviction, your claims will be honored. There is nothing covered that shall be uncovered. That which is spoken in secret shall be proclaimed from the housetops. That is, the secret, that is your secret convictions of yourself. These secrets claim that no man know of, when really believed, will be shouted from the housetops in your world. For your convictions of yourself are the words of the God within you, which words are spirit and cannot return unto you void, but must accomplish whereunto they are sent. You are at this moment calling out of the infinite, that which you are now conscious of being, and not one word or conviction will fail to find you. I am the vine, and ye are the branches. Consciousness is the vine, and those qualities which you are now conscious of being are as branches that you feed and keep alive. Just as branch has no life except it be rooted in the vine, so likewise things have no life except you be conscious of them. Just as a branch withers and dies if the sap of the vine ceases to flow towards it, so do things in your world pass away if you take your attention from them, because your attention is as the sap of the life that keeps alive and sustains the things of your world.
Anjalli, can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
Just talking about tithing, Mary Lou, can I ask you, do you do tithing?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Can you speak a bit about it? Because I love the topic of tithing, and I'd like to, just in the light of what we were talking about with money, how do you do it and what do you do, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, no, I don't mind sharing at all. So I have some favorite causes that I donate to monthly. So it just automatically, it comes out of my account.
Mhm.
And when I see it on my statement, like I just like, it makes me so happy.
Beautiful. So you've got automatic tithing going on.
I
Wow,
do.
nice.
Yes. And the next thing that so I do tithe money, and now I want to, like, I'm searching for a local nonprofit where I can now give back time.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's such an honor to be able to tithe, Agnes. Like, it is
It
the
is.
best that I've ever done.
Yes.
And even if it was like $5 in the beginning, now it's a
Yeah.
different amount, but
Yeah.
it's like not the amount that matters, it's that I'm doing this. So
Yeah. And it's saying to the universe, I have enough to give.
I have enough to give.
Like you said, even if it's $5 or $1 or whatever, the amount is irrelevant, but the feeling it gives you is profound, because it stops that tight little money, I got to hang on because there's not more coming in. It stops that. And yeah, starting off with little amounts is such a great way to do it. And I remember I tithed to one of my neighbors. I put it in an envelope and I put it in the mailbox because I knew they were really struggling. And I didn't say it was from me. I didn't want them to know. But I mean, sometimes you tithe and people know it's from you, and other times you don't. But the joy I got from that was profound, because I knew he had lost his job during COVID and that he still wasn't working. So it's like sometimes you can do it really directly to a person or a organization, or like you say, with time rather than money. So I love finding new ways to tithe. It's like, oh, where am I going to tithe this month? And who, God, show me who is of, need, or where can I give it that it would be helpful wherever it is. And just continuing to find new places to give it is always, it's like a little treasure hunt. It's fun. It's a financially fun treasure hunt. Thank you, Mary Lou. Thank you. Okay, HH, you haven't asked a question yet, so let me, you can do a question now. Asked a question today, you go ahead.
Yes, and yes, so somebody just sent me a small reel, and I know there's a lot of stupidity going around the subject of manifestation rather than real knowledge, roaming around. So I am healthy. So I saw a reel wherein a person was saying that I am, using statement I am is not as profound, or it kind of sends out the frequency that I am lacking that more, and therefore I'm trying to pronounce that I am this and that. It's rather suggested that one should use statement like I feel wealthy, I feel healthy. Any thoughts about it?
I think that I don't think saying I am is admitting that you haven't got something. It's you trying to change something. It's you jumping into the new man. So, there's a lot of this stuff about you got to use this word, you got to use that one. I think I feel is a good one too. I think they're both good, but I think the I am is, say, the top of the totem pole, let's say. That's the one. That's the one. But I feel wealthy, I feel love, I feel happy, I feel at peace. They're powerful ones as well. So I think play around with them. I like using I love. I love having money. I love having the most amazing relationship I've ever had. I love eating healthy food, and therefore I am healthy. I love, I find that you can use I love, I feel, I am. So it's just finding what resonates with you. I mean, I found I am, I didn't really like it for a long time. I used to do other ones because I thought, I don't know about this I aming thing. They talked about I aming, and I remember thinking that's just weird. That's how I felt for a long time. What's the point of I aming? That honestly, that just sounds like something hippie from the 70s. Yes, I was around at that time, but I don't really want to go back there. So I remember that's how I thought when it was 30 years ago and they were talking about the I am, because Wayne Dyer is, Wayne Dyer, there's other people that talk about I aming. So you got to sometimes pick where you're at and say which one resonates best for me right now. And sometimes what you don't like now, in 5 years' time, you go, oh, I get that now. And you have a bit of a revelation, or you have a bit of more of an attraction to that particular thing. It resonates with you at that time. So, Anjalli, I would just do whatever one feels best for you now and say, I'm going to play around with this and see how I feel. When I say I feel, I'm going to play around with I am. And let's see what hatches. Maybe you might go, I'm going to do I feel for a month. And then you go, right, when it becomes the 1st of June, I'm going to do I am. And then the next month I might do I love, and see which one actually hatches or generates more result. You might do a little experiment, that might be an interesting experiment to do one for each month and do just that. Yeah. So a lot of this is playing around, trial and error, what works for me, because I know a lot of people say certain things and I go, that's not my thing, so, and other things I go, I love that, I'm going to try that. So you just get an impulse towards certain things and a reaction towards certain things that you go, yes, that's the thing I want to try. So trust your intuition and go with it. That's what I would say.
Okay. Yeah. And another question, were you able to find the details on Dr. Hewlin's work at the
I've got about 15 emails that people have sent me, but a lot of people are referring to Dr. Hewlin and Joe Vitale. I don't think I worded my question as well as I could. I want evidence of which hospital. And because I've had a client who's amazing at research. And she said to me, she researched for months and she could not find which hospital this was at. So if there's no record of which hospital and there is no concrete evidence, Dr. Hewlin talked about it and Joe Vitale, they did their workshops and all of that. And it's not that I don't believe, but when my client brought that up, I thought, well, hang on a minute. I never actually went into the rabbit hole to find the facts and the evidence of where did this occur? What year did this happen? What's the address of the hospital? Is it shut down still today? Was Dr. Hewlin there? I thought I would actually like to know more of the concrete facts of it. So that's why her mentioning it to me, I thought, you know what? This deserves a bit more of a closer look, because I'm a big Ho'oponopono lover. And I think Dr. Hewlin contributed an amazing lot of information about it that's helped a lot of people, and his teacher Morna as well. So, that's where that little post popped up, Anjalli, was because of that and the conversation with this client. And I thought, you know what, she's right. We do need more facts about this. And I've never even thought to look at it until she brought it up. And I thought, no, let's explore this and see where it goes. So yeah, that's it.
Well, and I think Joe Vitale, he also wrote 2 books about this. Zero Limits, and the second one was At Zero. So the first book says about the cleaning, what Ho'opono does. And the second book says more about the experiences wherein people who do imbibe a lot of Ho'opono, practicing Ho'oponopono into their life, there comes a point wherein they kind of start questioning whether it's actually working, because it kind of gets a bit difficult, externally. Because everything which is internal starts coming out and getting cleared up.
That's
So
it.
at zero is about that. Zero limit is about cleaning. So now I don't know. I'll also try to find and research a bit about it, but then it's quite unlikely that if there would not be an incidence like this, that two books would be actually written about an amazing prayer.
Yeah, and the books themselves are good,
Yeah.
but it's not. I would really like to know more about the facts, because someone somewhere must have written the facts about where is this hospital in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Where is it? That's the question that I would like to answer. And it's like there has to be a record of something. And it'd be nice to know the deeper levels of it, not just the books written about the experiences, because the books are good and the whole Ho'oponopono is amazing. But I'm looking more for the facts, Anjalli. That's the thing that I was really, looking for. So I probably didn't word my question well enough, but I will go through the emails tomorrow.
Just one bit, I feel, Agnes, that there was a time not very long ago wherein, information availability was not so easy because of information technology and internet and stuff like that.
Yes.
There used to be a time wherein all the records would be done manually.
That's right.
Heaps and heaps of files would be created to keep documents.
Yes.
So maybe he might have done his work during one of those times wherein information technology was not widely used or spread.
But maybe there's something where Dr. Hugh Len actually said which hospital it was.
Yeah.
There might be an interview, a podcast, a discussion, because having been around Ho'oponopono for 30 years, I thought, goodness me, I've never asked that question. And I would actually really like to know, because it'd be interesting to know. And is there if this hospital is closed, is it something that you can go and visit? I mean, people have emailed me and said, I'm going to Hawaii, can you tell me? And it's like, no, I don't know the answer. So I thought it'd be really good to find out.
Yeah.
It'd be good to find out. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining the second session of At Your Command. So we are going to continue on. I think we're probably about 2/3 of the way now. So it'll be 1 or 2 more sessions to finish this book. And it'll be a great, hopefully, resource for you to then go back to and apply to whatever it is that you can, apply it to. Thanks, everyone. Lots of love. And
thank you
I
so
will
much,
see you.
Agnes. I wish you the best.
Thank you, Agnes.
No worries. You can unmute yourselves and say bye if you want, everyone.
Thank you, Agnes.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Agnes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.